And I think the idea of democracy, not the way we've implemented it, but the idea of it, or the idea of an open society, participatory governance, is can we have order that is emergent rather than imposed, so that we aren't stuck with chaos and infighting and inability to coordinate, and we're also not stuck with oppression. And what would it take to have emergent order? This is the most kind of central question for me these days.
Hi, my name is Sam Scheikowitz, and in this video I've distilled a conversation between Lex Fridman and Daniel Smachtenberger in order to focus on a specific part of this wide-ranging conversation, in this case, proposition crafting. Now, because I'm building Forby.org, a liquid democracy app for everyone who collaborates, I'm adding my own commentary as a way for you to understand my thinking and motivations, and also to invite your input around this topic. So I've done a similar process of distilling Daniel Smachtenberger's thinking around other topics, like liquid democracy at various levels in society, the financial and ethical concerns regarding building a liquid democracy app, how this app might affect things like states and politics and term limits and long-term planning, and finally what any psychological and cultural effects of this technology might be. So Daniel is talking about creating a new system that would allow us to have order, but one that's emerging from the collective wisdom and intelligence of the people, instead of being imposed top-down by powerful, usually self-interested forces. And I'm totally in agreement with Daniel here that this is the most pressing sort of missing ingredient in the world, and that the world has been suffering due to its absence. So we at Forby have been working on this solution. And I'll get into some details about how we're making proposition crafting more collaborative after a bit more perspective from Daniel.
The scale it was initially suggested here, the town hall was the key phenomena, where there wasn't a special interest group crafted a proposition, and the first thing I ever saw was the proposition, didn't know anything about it, and I got to vote yes or no. It was in the town hall, we all got to talk about it, and the proposition could get crafted in real time through the conversation, which is why there was that founding father statement that voting is the death of democracy. Voting fundamentally is polarizing the population in some kind of sublimated war. And we'll do that as the last step. But what we want to do first is to say, how does the thing that you care about that seems damaged by this proposition, how could that turn into a solution to make this proposition better? Where this proposition still tends to the thing it's trying to tend to and tends to that better. Can we work on this together? And in a town hall, we could have that. As the scale increased, we lost the ability to do that. Now, as you mentioned, the internet could change that. The fact that we had representatives that had to ride a horse from one town hall to the other one to see what the colony would do, that we stopped having this kind of developmental, propositional development process when the town hall ended. The fact that we have not used the internet to recreate this is somewhere between insane and aligned with class interests.
So we've put a lot of thought into the proposition crafting process, and we're building in a number of useful technologies to allow the process of proposition crafting to happen without needing a physical town hall. So one technology is the concept of alternate ideas. So when an idea is suggested, the Forby automatically creates a holder that the idea sits in. So alternate ideas can sit alongside it. Now, whenever an idea has alternate ideas alongside it, Forby automatically uses preference aggregation voting. So in order to see not only which alternate is the most liked, but also to see which is the least disliked and the most disliked. So all of the alternate ideas share a common discussion thread, so people can discuss the alternate ideas together. Now, each idea can have an infinite number of alternate sibling ideas beside it. Now, in large communities like cities or nations or the world, this could create the problem of too many choices. So in order to address that, we're using a system similar to Reddit or Quora, where people upvote and downvote ideas that make the most or the least sense to them. And people viewing the ideas can search, sort, and filter through all the alternates, including sorting by popularity, and that will allow the cream to sort of rise to the top. There is a saying, if we agree why, then the how is easier. So each idea has its own context fields where members can add reasons why not, who, how, etc. And each of those are votable fields. So members can become clear about the rationales behind each idea and alternate idea. Each alternate idea also comes with the ability to add attributes like time sensitivity, proposed resources, estimates on time and currency, values, tags, a list of action steps, and any kind of media or document that could be attached even as evidence. And in addition to ideas and alternate ideas, Forby has a few other collaborative decision-making tools like polls, sense-making polls, and challenges. And we're going to talk about those more in a minute.
And so we have to be able to have shared sense making of, can we come to understand just what is happening together? Mm-hmm. And then can we do shared values generation? Okay, maybe I'm emphasizing a particular value more than you, but I can see how I can take your perspective and I can see how the thing that you value is worth valuing, and I can see how it's affected by this thing. So can we take all the values and try to come up with a proposition that benefits all of them better than the proposition I created just to benefit these ones that harms the ones that you care about, which is why you're opposing my proposition. Yeah. We don't even try in the process of crafting a proposition currently to see, and this is a reason that the proposition, when we vote on it, gets half the votes almost all the time. It almost never gets 90% of the votes, is because it benefits some things and harms other things. We can say, oh, theory of trade-offs, but we didn't even try to say, could we see what everybody cares about and see if there was a better solution? So
how do we fix that try? I wonder, is it as simple as the social technology of education?
Well, no, it's that the proposition crafting and refinement process has to be key to a democracy or participatory governance, and it's not currently.
So Daniel talks about shared values and shared sense-making. And these are a little bit more difficult to do on an online platform, but not impossible. And we're working on a few ways to address these. So shared sense-making is basically the ability for us to agree about what's actually happening. And Forby is attempting to address this in a few ways. First, within ideas, with context fields and evidence fields, we can start to kind of get a sense of what people are thinking. And the second is what we call a sense-making poll. Now, we all know about regular polls, which Forby does offer to help users gather opinions and ideas in a simple sort of way. But there is a way to dig a little deeper into how the members think about a topic and about what matters to them. And that's called the sense-making poll. And basically, it's a little more elaborate than a regular poll. A sense-making poll consists of a series of rounds where participants are presented with a list of statements around specific controversial topics, like how should we handle logging rights and deforestation in our county, for example. So participants can quickly decide whether they agree or disagree with each statement that they're presented. And they can add statements of their own if none of the presented statements represents their position or their opinion. So each participant is periodically prompted to review new statements as they come in until the allotted time is up. So the statements are then analyzed and clustered according to the people who liked or disliked them. And any statements that were liked or disliked by multiple clusters are identified, generating a general sense of the concerns of the members as well as popular solutions. So this is the process that Taiwan uses to craft very nuanced policies around controversial topics, like whether or how Uber should be allowed into Taiwan, and how to be fair to both Uber customers and existing taxi service providers at the same time. So shared value generation is also a little bit tricky. But the concept that we're using is that we want to create an environment where the values of the members are made a little bit more obvious to all the other members in order to build empathy and understanding and to facilitate the crafting of proposals. So the proposals need to be in alignment with the values of all the members as much as possible. So in order to do this, we've built a votable values field where people can add and prioritize the values that they feel are most relevant to each idea or challenge, such as the environment or financial stability for my children. Now, while not all the members may agree on which values are the most important to them individually, the group can get a sense of which values are important to the group and to what degree, and use that information to craft proposals that satisfy as many of the values as possible. So another tool Forby is offering to help find solutions and beneficial directions is what we call a challenge. So a challenge is like a request for ideas, and any ideas can be tagged as being a possible solution for any challenge. So challenges have votable fields within them, like design constraints and values, where the group can decide on the criteria that a proposal has to meet in order to be considered. So with alternate ideas, context, and discussions, polls, sense-making polls, and challenges, I believe that the Forby community will start to learn and iterate on the best ways to facilitate collaborative sense-making and decision-making in large groups and small groups. Thanks for watching.